First, we would like to thank you for this interaction. We are excited to share with you our personal point of view so that you may decide for yourself whether you can apply this information in your own life in a way that serves you or not. As always, this remains up to you. We do not insist you take our word for anything. It is simply our passion to share, and we trust that this information will synchronistically arrive at those for whom it may be relevant. So, we will begin by giving you a little bit of a recap of things that we have shared before, just to lay out somewhat of a fundament to help support the bigger picture, as you call it. Also regarding the manifestation of this virus you now refer to as COVID-19. Now, what you are currently observing on your planet, or better said, planets, is a powerful point of transition, translating in a multitude of overlapping versions of reality simultaneously. We have explained to you before that you may think that you are sharing one particular version of reality, but you are not. You are each individually creating your own version of reality. You are exploring your own holographic simulation of the world, quote unquote, out there, whilst you give it color and breathe life into it. You get to choose what colors you use for this painting that you call your physical life. You decide whether you wish to continue to flow your energy through any particular set of beliefs as they shape your reality or your experience of it, or whether you wish to replace them with a better feeling set. Meanwhile, a big part of how you interact with your painting consists out of automatically generated agreements with the people, quote unquote, around you who co-create the version of reality that you are observing with you to a large or smaller degree. This is why it seems as if you are sharing the same reality, but it is only for the sake of getting to know yourself better that you introduce these other players into your version of reality, whom we may add are just as real as you are and who are experiencing your presence in their version of reality for the exact same reason, in order to get to know themselves better. Still, fundamentally, you each create your own reality, your own version of Earth, your own universe in every single here and now. At this point, a specific portion of these overlapping versions of Earth has accelerated to such a degree that, in order for them to further develop, they need to shift into an overall higher energy frequency bandwidth, so to speak. You could say that in order to do this, much like a flower growing into the direction of the light, this portion of simultaneously parallel existing versions of Earth are naturally moving into the quote-unquote opposite direction, in linear terms that is, of the multitude of versions of Earth that have been preparing to explore an equally valid but just different looking bandwidth of lower energy frequencies. This, in short, concludes the previously explained idea of the splitting prism, or the splitting train tracks, that we have spoken about many times before, and which you are now observing as this unfolds on the face of your Earth. Until this splitting process has developed somewhat further down the line, as you say, you will be able to observe much of all the potential versions of Earth still present in your current timeline, the ones that will move into a lower frequency bandwidth, and those that will move into a higher one, and every version in between are simultaneously perceivable and accessible for most of you at this point. Now, 2020, as a term relating to eyesight, not only refers to the ability to see sharply and clearly, including the laying out of possible ideas for the future and the focusing on what it is you envision for the world, but also relates to the idea of having clear 20/20 hindsight, thus referring to your ability to look back, as you say, or over your shoulder, and take from all of those seemingly past co-creations the lessons you wish to learn, the fruit you wish to harvest, and so forth. And to then decide in this here and now what it is you wish to do with all of this information in your life, in your version of reality. In other words, what would your preferred version of Earth look like? And if you were to allow yourself to tune in with that energy frequency of perfectly integrated experiences from the so-called past, combined with your passionate inspirations for what you call the future, then what does that inspire you to do with that right now? This specific year of 2020 has an enormous potential to, in a sense, set the stage for the next chapters of your storyline to come, as you are giving yourselves the opportunity to wrap up all of the gifts you've gathered from, say, approximately the past decade of your time, and to start planting the seeds for the next decade to come. This is a moment that many of you may feel you have been trained for, in a sense. And if you did allow yourself to follow your highest excitement in the past few years without insistence and with integrity, then you will find that all of this, so far occurring on your planet, may have been relatively easy to digest in comparison to what may seem to have been the case for other people around you. Yet, none of you on Earth today are truly unprepared. Somewhere deep within, you knew that this was coming. As seen from a higher level, it came into your reality by your own collective and individual demand. And all of you are equally being invited to remain in your center. Yet without suppressing or denying all the emotions and thoughts that these current circumstances may be pushing to the surface for you, as these are your most valuable messengers in these exciting times. It is thanks to your emotions and thoughts, when you allow yourself to observe them, to investigate them in a calm and quiet manner, that you will find yourself able to look at them without any longer identifying with them. And it is from that point that you can start to rewrite history, as you call it, by letting go of all the things you may have chosen to be true in the past, but that no longer work for you. And it is from that place that you get to lay out new sketches for your future, new blueprint plans, as you replace all the beliefs that you have now been able to identify as no longer needed to quote-unquote wake you up. Remember, you decide what is true for you. Nobody else can decide this for you. And remember, you do not change the world that you are on. It is by following your highest excitement to the best of your ability until you can take it no further, with zero insistence as to what the outcome ought to be, that you allow yourself gently and with ease to shift to a version of Earth that is already more reflective of your preferred reality. This is not the first time that you have invited a virus to come out and play with you on this stage to assist you in gaining some insights. Now, if anything, a virus points out your interconnectedness, your equality, your unison. In your current collective search as to, quote-unquote, how to respond to this outbreak initially, you are truly all one, experiencing in your own personal ways an acceleration of the importance to get to know yourselves in order to remain centered and balanced. Now, coronaviruses are a group of viruses containing many subcategories. And some of you may know that within the last 2 decades of your time, you have collectively co-created 2 more prominent manifestations of family members of the coronavirus affecting the human species. These 2 were named SARS or severe acute respiratory syndrome, which appeared in 2003, and MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which appeared in 2013. And now you have your COVID 2019. So this is the third time around that the coronavirus is visiting you on a large scale, this time even more prominently than the two previous versions. Now, the origins of the word corona can be found in the Latin word for crown, which is derived in turn from the ancient Greek corona, garland or wreath. In your astronomy, the word corona scientifically refers to the aura or halo of light that surrounds the sun and other stars. Now, your sun's corona extends millions of kilometers into space, not making it too obvious as to where it begins and ends exactly, but this suddenly becomes a lot more recognizable as a crown or halo during what you call a total solar eclipse. This, first of all, lets you know we are dealing with a symbol that manifests at its most prominent during a time of transition wherein the idea of darkness and light dance around each other in a unique manner. Now, just like SARS and MERS, the source of COVID-19 is seen originally as one of the virus aspects originating from bats. Now, what is it that you most think about when you think about bats? Indeed, they can see flawlessly in the dark. Now, many bats hunt in the dark by using echolocation. This means they use echoes of self-produced sounds which bounce off of objects to help them navigate. Just think about this for a moment, and then if you wish, compare this little piece of information to the understanding we have shared with you previously of how it is that you create your own version of reality. It is really quite a perfect analogy. You send out the sonar frequency of your personal beliefs, thoughts, and emotions, which in turn assist you in how you may wish to interact with the idea of your physical environment. The circumstances, as always, remain neutral. No meaning is quote-unquote baked into any circumstances by default. Instead, you get to give meaning to them by adding your unique perspective to the mix, which then creates what you call your personal experience of these circumstances. What better animal to reflect back to you that you have within you that same capability? To be able to still see sharply when it appears to get dark, to navigate in a storm using your inner compass to remain centered, whilst all along creating a version of Earth that is more in alignment with your higher self, your inner knowing of who it is that you really are as you evolve in any given moment. This virus, if anything, in connecting you all, is revealing your oneness in a way that no other event in your known recorded history has ever done before. It is helping you to see sharp as you navigate in the seeming dark. It helps you to decide more clearly, to see how you wish to respond, how it is that you decide to navigate through the myriad of possible versions of Earth that are available to you right now. All this now is offering you a unique opportunity to discover what the impact of your belief systems on reality truly can be, to discover to what profound degree your state of being can change your personal experience of any circumstances. For those who have ever seen a startled group of bats fly out of a dark and narrow tunnel and into the light of day, imagine yourselves now moving through such a tunnel in your reality. Things may seem dense and compressed. It may not seem too obvious as to what direction you're moving in. And yes, things may even get a little denser for a while, as there is so much movement and rearranging occurring around all of you, as you are all attempting to find your balance, your center point within all of this. Yet you all have the ability to let your inner guiding compass help you navigate. And before you know it, many of you will find yourselves moving out of this tunnel and into the open air, into the sunshine, which in a multitude of ways holds information for you as you begin to remember yourselves and remember, as in reunite your species in a new and creative way. This virus invites you to, in a sense, crown yourselves with a higher awareness, a deeper understanding, first of all, of your connection to Source. It invites you to become aware of the unique aura of inner light as it springs forth in a perfect circle, while past and future are simultaneously collapsing and weaving together in every single here and now. A multitude of probable and possible future versions of Earth lies before you, and you get to choose. Choose and act on your choices in order to ground them firmly into your physical reality. Choose from a place of power as you surrender to your inner knowing and allow yourself to find freely and without insistence whatever resonates most with you in every single here and now. You are of best assistance to others by first of all taking good care of yourself. Here, as in many other cases, we recommend to use the formula of following your highest excitement to the best of your ability until you can take it no further with zero insistence as to where it ought to bring you, as this will automatically point out to you what else might be needed for you to remain of best service to others around you. We understand that it may seem contradicting to you to now go and implement some little extra time for yourself, while you perhaps intuitively recognize the tremendous potential for growth that is opening up on your planet today. And we grasp your desire to wish to be there at the leading edge. Know that many, many multidimensional beings are observing as you assist in the opening up of possibilities for people who are moving through in their own way, their own awakening or transition, and how you are assisting to have that unfold more smoothly for them, whether it be physical, mental, or spiritually. Many of us are right there with you in the background, subtly offering assistance on an energetic level, wherever relevant. All you need to do is ask. Yet we cannot implement the living of the formula for you. You will have to take care of the anchoring into the physical of your self-love. And this is exactly what will help you to remain on your feet with a flexible mindset and the ability to always find some reason to smile along the way. This is in your hands because as you give, for many of you, you are simultaneously being invited to learn how to better receive. It is within the perfect middle point of these two that you will find yourself fully supported, intuitively guided, and able to do your work effortlessly for as long, where, and with whom it is truly needed. All we can say about this at this time is that it serves you to remember that you are your government's Now, especially in the past few weeks, you may have witnessed your own politicians feeling a bit challenged, or you may have even seen some of them get unwell or sick. As this occurred, many of you felt empathy for them, which showed you that you had been longing to see these people more as quote-unquote human, more as yourselves. Apparently, for some, it takes a worldwide flu before you give yourselves a chance to see the similarities. We're laughing here. Politics and people in so-called high places have been put in these places by you, the people. Realize that they are so confidently there because they too believe you need them to do whatever they do. And it is only because of that agreement you all made together that certain individuals got tempted to take advantage of this co-created illusion of codependency. Yet it always takes two to tango, as you say. So it helps to first ask yourself what it is that you expect from your manager, your boss, your president, your government, your tech services, your police force, your CIA, etc., etc. For a moment, just to think about why you put them there, so to speak. What quote-unquote need in you or in the masses do you imagine is being fulfilled by this? Could this need be met any other way? Have you seen examples of that? Eventually, this is about reviewing your entire system. How much of it feels accurate to you and inspires you to feel grateful for it, and how much of it feels outdated and ready for improvement. Again, you are your politicians, and your politicians are you. Let them know, show them that they are not alone in their tasks, that you as a species can stand united in your natural ability for solution-oriented thinking, and things will rapidly change from there on. Just use your imagination and find a way that is playful and genuine to share your unique voice with the world. Most of your people ache for more love-based, joyful forms of communication. So, if it excites you, and if it excites you only, bring forth, not from bitterness, but from joy, not from fear, but from love, and not from anger, but from compassion, to benefit the whole. New ideas for a system that works in harmony with your naturally creative human essence, that works respectfully with your planet and all beings living on it, and that supports all of you who feel they are still in the process of finding their way, so that you may eventually all find your center and one day navigate as one species, guided from that never-ending inner source of unconditional love. We know this is within your reach, or we would literally not be able to speak of it to you. You all called it forth. What we mean by that is, no human on the co-created version of your Earth today who is witnessing this unfolding has not been a co-creator of this manifestation in one way, shape or form. The virus is there because it is relevant for you all, whether that may be in a large or even a hardly noticeable way, or you simply wouldn't be experiencing this in your version of reality at all. So, in the energetic sense, yes, this situation was man-made. All of this is your collective co-creation. Now, in the literal sense, all timelines, past and future, simultaneously coexist. And like we told you earlier, what you are observing at this point is a multitude of versions of your Earth overlapping. We can tell you, however, that as you decide to feed any specific idea within yourself, you will most definitely find the proof, quote-unquote, for it. Just as those who believe the exact opposite to be true will find proof of their version of the story. Again, we remind you, This is an incredibly potent year for shifting yourself to different versions of your Earth. And at this moment, these two options, yes, it was manipulated by humans, or no, it was not. And anything imaginable in between are all equally accessible for you. Whatever version of Earth you decide to line up with in regards to the physical manifestation of this virus in human beings, we recommend you use that perspective in a way that works for you. For example, see if you can look at your version of the overall circumstances in a truly loving and compassionate way, regarding yourself and the entire human race, without even a single individual exception. We share this as an open suggestion to you to do with whatever you please. Know that with some deeper self-investigation, you will always be able to find out for yourself whether any belief is love or fear-based, and whether it benefits you or not. And remember, you have a choice. You are not obligated in any way, shape or form to use any of the ingredients that are available on the table right now in your personal recipe, so to speak. Are these ingredients available? Yes. Are they possible? Most certainly. But the probability range of any of these scenarios that you might have been choosing to connect to, the probability range of any of these scenarios will be determined by your personal decision to quote-unquote bake them into your cake, or by giving them your energy. So rather than arguing over its origin, especially as all timelines simultaneously coexist and all truths in one way or another are true, we would truly encourage you to ask yourselves rather, what will we do with these circumstances here and now and from here on? How can they best be used in a constructive manner that serves us all? And as we've said before, circumstances don't matter. It is how you choose to respond to the circumstances that matters. So even though everything may seem to be quote-unquote up in the air, and as this idea has more meaning now than ever, it is truly in your hands. And it is therefore, among many other reasons, that symbolically you will find there is such an enormous emphasis on your hands in your society right now. Remember that the best navigational system is already hiding within you. We would never stir you into the direction of any one storyline or another that one of the messengers on your internet are now telling you should believe, according to them. We would just ask you to use your own inner compass for what it was made for. And continue to ask yourself what information inspires you, what makes you want to take action in a positive way, what gives you energy, and what makes you feel numbed out or powerless. For example, maybe you are a nurse and perhaps some information that you find out there on your internet related to the current situation on your planet inspires you to create new and effective improvements for your healthcare system, then by all means, please act upon this in the best way available to you in that moment. But if the information just leaves you feeling frozen, overwhelmed, and it simply doesn't inspire you to take any type of positive action, then this may be your cue to let you know that there is little to no overlap with your personal energy frequency. In other words, your energy frequency may simply call you into a different direction of creative expression, and this piece of information is not nourishing you to do so. Also, it may be good to realize that not all information out there at this moment is relevant for you to begin with. This is why you are with so many on your overlapping versions of Earth today. You all get to choose. And don't you just love how you've designed this for yourselves? Right now, with so many of you seeking for clarity on your internet, all the no's you feel out there in regards to the information you find will only help you recognize the yeses even better. And as you allow yourself to shift and sort, you simply get to know yourself better, which is eventually the point of any reflection you allow into your awareness at any given moment in time. You see, whatever you observe really has nothing to do with you, unless you say so. You give power to the circumstances by backing them up with your beliefs about these circumstances. No situation, no matter how seemingly upsetting unto itself, can hold actual power over you. How to follow your highest excitement when you are told not to leave the house? Well, you have many creative ways to prove to the rest of existence, so to speak, with a little wink, that you truly are masters of limitation. Now, in these circumstances, you are truly all invited to look within and tune in with what might excite you whilst you are facing seeming limitations. Realize that also in dreams, for instance, often the idea of the house symbolizes the body, and that the attic, so to speak, can refer to the mind, the basement can refer to, you could say, emotions that have been suppressed, that a person may not have been wanting to look at, and that in this case, you are being given a multitude of manifestations in your physical reality, wherein you are being invited to see the dreamlike nature of your waking dream, and so for you to collectively manifest the idea of a type of quarantine gives you a strong hint as to what it is that you're telling yourselves. Again, like we said, you're all being invited to look within yourselves. The more you can do with a little, the less you will need to do to receive a lot that benefits you in return. In other words, you may have already noticed people coming up with all kinds of jokes around what they started doing in the house because they had run out of their usual distractions. These pictures have been going viral. Haven't you seen adults that usually never really interact on social media in such a way, now suddenly launching videos of themselves playbacking in their living rooms? Musicians are making up all kinds of new songs. Choreographers are inventing dances. Artists are drawing doodles on top of pictures of their cat, making their cat look all funny. And all of you online who need a little cheering up are being uplifted by the play and the joy of those people who have decided to share their new ways of thinking. Also, a lot of adults on your world today are now suddenly sharing childhood pictures on your social media, you may have noticed, with stories about their time as a child. This started as a thing that you never got to do, you never got to, because there was no time, but now you have time in your hands. And you find time and space, as you say, to share these aspects of your life. Why do you think things like play, songs, and childhood memories are now intuitively all coming to the surface for so many of you? It is because you all somewhere deep within realize that your inner child has no problem playing with what is, and that there is no better quote-unquote person for the job at hand to return to your true nature than to include the energy presence of your own inner child. So just pick what you have the greatest ability to act upon in any given moment and start playing with that. For example, as you allow yourself to pick up drawing as a hobby, a thing you may have ignored for many years, but now you find the time and inspiration to act upon, this may synchronistically attract into your awareness others who feel the same desire and wish to start an online group with you to share and discuss techniques, or a person who used to draw but has picked up dancing and no longer needs their drawing set may gift you with their materials, paper, pencils and ink. Or you may spontaneously stumble onto a digital sharing or written book by an artist on how they started their creative journey and how they solved some of the challenges and insecurities they had when they just began. As you act upon such passions with zero insistence and in full alignment with your inner child, joyfully engaging on such new adventures without pushing it to look a certain way or insisting on any type of specific result, you may soon find yourself fully occupied in doing nothing but things that are joyful expressions of your true nature. And so you have gifted yourself with this opportunity to dive deep within and explore a whole new world of possibilities, literally from your own home. Alright, thank you. Let us tell you a little secret. Since everything is here and now, and only your space-time illusion makes it seem as if it is not, the future is already here. Now, here's the thing, as you would say. From the level of the higher self, you usually send yourselves an ongoing tastery, so to speak, of some of the more probable futures in a myriad of synchronistic and subtle ways. This may happen just before, but sometimes even way before, one of these versions eventually manifests in your reality or in the future of mankind. Now you, and we mean each of you individually, in your self-chosen response to any of these little previews, determine by your response which one of these previews is most relevant for you to tune in with more. This still doesn't mean you will get exactly the image that you presented to yourself previously, but you may get a version of it that contains a similar energy frequency. Now, in the following of your hearts and tapping from inspiration, in every here and now, mankind has been showing itself a gazillion of different probable futures throughout what you call your history, through books, movies, poetry, theater plays, philosophic ponderings, storytelling, songs, dances, myths, and so on. The dreamlike nature of your so-called physical reality has always been shimmering through. This, in fact, shows you that you, as a human species, in a sense, on some level, have always known what you were doing. Yet it is in these various forms of art and many others that we have left unmentioned here that this can be recognized most clearly. Obviously, in your current day and age, this is particularly obvious. With the acceleration of your spiritual expansion, you now see your increased ability to be consciously aware of more information at once reflected to you in every here and now. Your DNA has literally changed and is still changing, and more of you are able now to consciously tap into your larger field of knowing, or your collective database, if you will, more effortlessly. So what are we telling you by this? that you are all sending yourselves constant previews of energetic examples of that which could be next, and that all probable timelines are often shown to you already in one way or another before a version of them actually manifests through you into the obvious quote-unquote reality as you personally perceive it. Think about it, even where you are right now. Why do you think many of you call these times filmic or surrealistic? It is because you have seen this before. You have gotten glimpses of similar scenarios in your books, movies, and for some, in your dreams. Anyone who cares to take a step back and review your reality from this overview perspective can see your world for what it is. A jumble of parallel coexisting timelines geniusly woven through and on top of each other, from which you all get to pick individually what matches you most on your personal journey energetically. One of the ways wherein you are giving yourselves previews of a possible future version timeline is us. In your communication with us, we offer you, in a sense, a glimpse of our energy throughout our entire conversation. It may not be spelled out in the words, the channel picks with us to translate our messages into your language, but it is there, between the words, or on your skin as you get goosebumps, or within your heart as you feel its beating accelerating. We know you know, and we have come on your invitation to help reflect this inner knowing back to you. The future is within you, and it has many faces. In your contact with us, though, you are automatically being invited to navigate to the series of probable futures, so to speak, on which we could meet. And we have spoken about this before and even given you a series of previews of what we see is unfolding on those specific future versions of Earth, where contact with us is already happening or about to. This has been shared in one of our recent transmissions called Earth Calling and has been made freely available on the YouTube channel of the channel before you. Now more than ever, we can recommend to any one of you who feel they lack inspiration when it comes to imagining positive future timelines to check that one out, so to speak. Even more so because some of the things we mentioned in there are already beginning to unfold on your planet today because of your interesting dance with the virus that you have now called COVID-19. Okay, here's one. In that specific transmission, we told you that social media and media in general would be used more efficiently as so-called problem solvers in your future. Again, referring here to a timeline wherein you are clearly evolving into the direction of open contact with us at some point. At this moment on your Earth, computer game developers and scientists have together invented a game focusing on protein folding. This game gives citizen scientists the chance to help manage the coronavirus outbreak or to at least get the ball rolling. The game is called Fold It and now has a puzzle specifically dedicated to COVID-19. Researchers from your University of Washington created Fold It, intuitively realizing that the type of focus needed to quote-unquote crack this puzzle is no different from the type of focus that can be easily found worldwide in gamers' tireless compulsion to solve problems. Only in this specific case, the game could lead to actual hands-on scientific innovation. In Fold It, the player gets to investigate how to fold protein structures to create new ones. One of the reasons that the virus is called corona, or again, as we already explained, crown or aura of light in that sense is because it is thanks to the placement of the protein structure on the virus that it looks like a little shiny sun or a crown, depending on how you look at it. So that gives you a little puzzle piece of information on why that name was chosen by the scientists, why they called Corona to begin with. Now, in our opinion, the release of that specific game that you call Folded, is a clear reflection of humanity beginning to understand that it truly takes a village to raise a child, so to speak. Or in this case, that you are all in this together, and that by reaching out to one another in playful and out-of-the-box manners, you greatly support and accelerate even further the evolution of the whole of your species. The statistics that you are currently mostly looking at are based on the results of people who have been officially tested with the virus, and therefore these statistics are mostly skewed. Not in the least because at the moment of this transmission, most people on your planet who have already had this virus have in fact not been tested, and many of them don't even realize that they may have even had the virus to begin with. Since it can manifest in many different ways, or may even manifest without any symptoms at all, it has been challenging for people to recognize. And then there are those who strongly suspect they've got it, but simply don't want to get tested nor come out with it to the outside world, out of fears for being judged, shunned, or losing their jobs, or even simply the medical bill that may come as a result of walking into a doctor's office. But as you collectively begin to allow yourselves to follow your hearts in these matters, you will find that answers to such challenges may come as effortlessly as you considered the sun rising to bring you yet another day. First of all, you ordered the quote-unquote drama too, not just the physical trigger that you now call your COVID-19. This was a package deal, you know. On a higher level, you understood that even the simple idea of this particular virus would most likely catch many of you off guard. Almost nothing motivates the human psyche to do some more inner research than being surrounded by seemingly unpredictable circumstances. It is within those moments exactly that many are faced with their deepest fears, and therefore get to look at a bunch of often previously unnoticed core beliefs. And as you may have noticed, a lot of people's stress management levels are now out and in the open, not in the least for themselves to look at. And that's the point. Most of you who call yourselves awakened, most of you have gone through intense processes, many of which took many years, maybe even decades, to transform old negative beliefs into better feeling ones, and to get to where you now understand yourselves to be. But also, for most of you, that journey didn't just kickstart itself. Many of you introduced a special event or some type of plot twist into your reality that may have jolted you to the core. And in doing so, didn't it actually make you wonder what else is there to life? Whether it was a disease, a burnout, giving birth, a so-called accident, the loss of a loved one, or anything else. You all know by now how a moment like that may become a great turning point and a great accelerator for inner growth, as it simply propels you into having to redesign your formerly held perspective of reality. And most of you can see how eventually, if that event had not occurred, you might have gone down an entirely different road, often not nearly as fulfilling as you find your lives to be today. So, in looking at this event on your planet, we invite you to see the turning points that all of this could potentially mean for the lives of others. Know that this may give millions of people a chance to now shift train tracks and join you on the future version of Earth, where your entire lifestyle may be much more harmonious, in balance with your true nature and with your planet. I trust we do not have to point out to you how much room for expansion there still is in that department. Okay, thank you. So that is your number one reason for this event to perhaps seem a tad dramatic here and there. Oh, and just a little reminder, you are free to choose your own labels, but instead of using the word dramatic, you could also label this event as highly potent in its ability to assist people in the gaining of some profound insights, or you could call it a contagious accelerator of consciousness, or a multi-layered wake-up call, whatever works best for you. Anyway, for those who didn't get this from your news channels, the second reason why there is such a high focus on preventing the further spreading of this virus at this point is to avoid the tremendous strain that could otherwise hit your current healthcare system in a short period of time. We're not here to tell you this is the way to go or not. This is completely up to all of you. At this point, all of you are in your own way experimenting, and you all get to compare many different approaches of many different countries and individuals to see what appears to work best. In that sense, you could look at yourselves as being mid-puzzle, and we are not allowed to intervene in that process. That same process, though, can be looked at as highly exciting because never before were you all this eager to find a harmonious solution for your population. If you will, look at it as a potential training class for solving challenges of a different nature on the same scale in your so-called future. Realize that with the introduction of this virus, you virtually changed the entire quote-unquote radio station of your planet almost overnight. Now it may help you to look at this as just another radio wavelength, as we see that this analogy may take some of the pressure off for some of you. No matter how the virus was unleashed, all of you who are currently consciously aware of its unfolding, no matter what you choose to believe this may represent for you. So even if you don't believe that what's going on is even connected to a virus at all to begin with, you all energetically, quote unquote, allowed it into being. And from that perspective, this was an effortless manifestation. Look at how flawless you inserted this change of scenery onto your world. Now, just imagine, if you will, what wonderful causes that same amount of energy could be used for. First of all, we are talking about a permission slip here, and as with all permission slips, you can use them as tools to allow yourself to be in touch with more of your natural self. Just remember that in using them, they get their power from you, not the other way around. Having that said, we understand that you may join in a meditation with the intention to shift, quote unquote, away from the virus, but looking at it from that perspective, You might in fact shift those timelines a lot more effortlessly if you just meditated for the fun of meditating and for the joy of becoming consciously aware of your own personal alignment in that moment, without even thinking about the virus or anybody being sick to begin with. As when you bring in a subject like that, many of you, where you are today, subconsciously sneak in an energy frequency of resistance. It may be much easier for many of you to jump on that high vibe train, so to speak, if you meditate on an idea that you feel nothing but good about to begin with, like dolphins swimming in a clear blue ocean, or puppies, or a best friend and how much you love them. Gently holding a vision for the future that gives you a happy feeling also can be a wonderful tool to use. Just remain aware that you don't narrow down any of the possible miraculous effects of your meditation by insisting on it coming through fruition exactly as you pictured it. Like we've said before, what to the rational mind may seem to be the ultimate achievable, to the higher mind is just a first base sketch in an infinite sea of even greater possibilities. We are not going to make any so-called predictions, nor can we, because, as we have explained to you many times, all timelines simultaneously coexist and nothing therefore is chiseled in stone. We can tell you this, however, a lot of things are up in the air at this point. And like we said in our introduction on this subject, the tunnel may just get a little bit more narrow before it gets wider again. You are truly funneling your energy through a very interesting gateway at this point and simply building up momentum for what could, in a sense, be called a type of rebirth into the light. It would serve you to simply remain centered to the best of your ability. Do not rush or feel as if you have to, quote-unquote, push against or even help accelerate whatever this is you believe is currently unfolding on your planet. Rather, see if you can allow yourself to go with the flow and continue to manage whatever comes up for you as a result of these or any upcoming events with all the love and compassion that you can muster. Continue to take good care of yourselves and see with compassion, if you can, that all of you are coping in your own ways. Honor your beliefs. Prepare yourselves practically if this makes you feel more at ease. Tune in along the way to see what ideas are coming from love and abundance and which ones are originating from lack. Take time to meditate, listen to music that makes you happy or brings you peace. Go out in nature or do whatever you feel works best for you to maintain that inner equilibrium. And lastly, as a little permission slip, and if it resonates with you, we can recommend you to regularly visualize a little silver line running down from your heart, first connecting to the center of your earth, while you take a nice few deep breaths. Then visualize the same silver line running from your heart, this time upwards, and see if you can connect it to your sun as you take another nice few deep breaths. Know you are a child of the earth and that she will take care of you. Know that you are a child of the stars and that as you are a part of us, we see ourselves as part of you. Oh, how we love this question. Thank you. The thing in your individual and collective energy that called this forth is your unconditional love for one another. It is your deep and heartfelt desire for change, for allowing others to learn and discover within themselves what you perhaps have already learned and discovered. A chance to prove to themselves that even amidst the most challenging of times, they can always rely on their inner knowing. They can connect to source and find a way to feel good despite the responses of others regarding these exact same circumstances. You wanted to open up a door for inner growth, and you wanted it for all of you, not just a few, but for as many as you could possibly imagine. And together you stood strong in this desire. For some, this desire was hidden deep below, sometimes very personal, fear-based beliefs, things such as the general fear for death, the fear of an apocalypse, fear for disaster, fear for disease, for being alone, for being rejected, for not having a job, for losing your business, for losing your loved ones, for not being able to be there for your family, and sometimes just as much. Some were afraid of being burdened by having to be there for others, for the idea of carrying full responsibility. We see fears of isolation, of lack, of nature not being able to restore herself, of humanity never fully waking up, of not being creative, of being without any talent, of not being good enough, of not being interesting enough, of using your voice, of sharing your passion, of not having the time to do something you love, of not being able to handle your work when it gets really busy, of setting your boundaries, of speaking your truth, of taking a simple break and having a moment to hear your own thoughts. You have no idea. The list goes on and on. And so millions and millions of you added your weight to this one tremendous desire for change by offering your personal and collective desires into the greater field of pre-manifestation, the blueprint level of reality. All of those fears that you know deep within yourselves are so ready to transform into self-confidence, into love and surrender, into playfulness and into the active anchoring of your dreams within this physical lifetime. All of those things that you have been wanting to transform but never got to fully look at. Now, the energetic tidal wave that comes with your corona, much like your sunshine, touches everyone, whether directly, indirectly, or barely at all. But you all summoned it. And as you did, you came directly from the source energy that you define as unconditional love. Love for your species, love for your ability to deal with this and more. Love for your flexibility, your resilience, your creativity, your voice, your divinity, your unique beauty, your humor, your playfulness, your responsibility. Love for your fellow man, love for animals, for nature, for your planet, for all that is. You were reaching, and then you allowed in a mind-blowingly efficient way to answer yourselves on all of these topics all at once. These times can be experienced by you as all of that, if you choose to define it in that way. But as always, this remains up to you. However you decide to look at these things, this is how we will continue to see you, as the empowered creators of all of this for the benefit of your own species, your development, your spiritual journey, and from a source of unprecedented strength and deep inner knowing that you are indeed the masters of limitation, moving through a narrow, dark tunnel, but rapidly into the light. And with that, we send you, all of you, our unconditional love.